Good evening, everybody. I'm here to talk to Miss Theresa, right?
Yes.
Okay. Um, 25 years ago, Miss Theresa and family was at a bowling alley. What was this bowling alley called?
New Frontier Lanes.
New Frontier Lanes. And what was supposed to be a good time turned out to be a personal tragedy. Her daughter, Teekah Lewis, would go missing on was that January? Was it January 23rd,
January 23rd, 1999.
1999, in Tacoma, Washington. Miss Theresa is here to tell Tika's story. So Miss Theresa, take us back to the day that take us back when you went to the bowling alley, when your family first went to the bowling alley, and the events that unfolded.
So, me and my boyfriend at the time went with some family members to New Frontier Bowling Alley. It was Colorama night, which they had colored balls, colored pins, and if you hit one of those pins, you win money. And I had prior went there a week before and took my twins there, and there was nobody there.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, okay, it's not going to be crowded. It's going to be a good time. I'm not going to have no worries whatsoever. Well, I was wrong. The bowling alley was packed. There was at least 350 people there that night.
That's a fact. Okay. That's a fact.
And I had my 2-year old at the time, and I had a 10-month-old, which she was in her car seat. And there was other kids around there. If they wanted any kids, you know, they had a chance to get any kids, but mine was the one that was taken that night.
Wow. So now, after she went missing, like how was the investigation? How did that go with when she went missing?
Um, they've messed up on my daughter's case since day one.
Okay.
That night they had an off-duty officer there, fully clothed, doing security, had his motorcycle there, and for being an off-duty officer and fully closed and you're doing security, you should be watching the bowling alley. You should be walking around, making sure everything's okay. That's not what happened. So when my daughter came up missing, I searched the area where we were before I even attempted to go to the other side of the bowling alley where my sister-in-law's sister was in the bathroom, and I asked her, "Is Tika in here?" And she's like, "No." Why? And I was like, "She's nowhere around." So I went up to the officer and I told him, "My daughter's gone. I done and searched everywhere. My family searched the bowling alley. She's nowhere in sight." So he's questioning me, and he tells the people in the audience, look under your seats, make sure there's not a baby sleeping. She's not gonna go nowhere and sleep unless she's in her mama's arms, and that's how she was. So I'm gonna say the first call went out 20 minutes later,
Okay.
and then I'm gonna say maybe 10 to 20 minutes later, that's when officers came for backup. And there was a lady sitting above us, and she was there with 5 black guys, and she was a white lady,
Mm.
and she was asking people to hold their babies. She asked my brother, and my brother told her no, but then said, "Okay, you can hold my son, but I'm going to stand right here with you." She said, "Okay." She tried to take my 10-month-old, and I said, "What are you doing? You're not going to hold my baby. I'm not doing that."
Right.
And so when my daughter came up missing, 4 of the black guys were gone, and she was there with her boyfriend and her. And Somehow she got a hold of my 10-month-old, took her to her car. And if it wasn't for my sister-in-law, I would have had 2 kids missing.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. This is the sad part. I went up to her and I told her, that's my daughter. And she said, that's not your daughter. And I said, if you don't give me my baby, I'm going to get the police involved. I had to get the police involved. The police arrested her. Okay. She tried to commit suicide in the cop car. So they took her to Puget Sound Hospital, which is a mental hospital back in Washington. They let her go the next day. They didn't get her for attempted abduction. They didn't get her for nothing. Nothing at all.
Now that's strange right there by itself, because she definitely should have been charged and even looked at further.
Thank you. I've been saying this for years and years and years. 24 years later, they found this woman. She's in the mental hospital and she's mentally gone. So they can't question her. They can't give her no polygraph because she's that far gone.
Wow. That's a big ball. That's a huge ball drop right there. I agree with you. That's a big huge drop. So now all these people in here, you mean to tell me nobody sees nobody walk out with your daughter?
They had a gentleman that came up that called the tip line the day after my daughter came up missing and said, hey, I seen a guy walk out with your daughter. I mean, with Teekah, but I thought it was her dad because he was white and she's a mixed baby. So I just thought nothing of it. But he did, went to the police. This was 20 years later. When my mom passed away in 2018, I had a meeting with the chief of police and I told everybody in the room, if you go back in Teekah's files, guaranteed you're going to find a tip that says who took my daughter. And lo and behold, they went back and that's how they found this witness. And my detective at the time called him in for questioning and got what he saw. But it took him 20 years. Why didn't you listen to this boy when my daughter came up missing? Because he was 15 years old and they thought he was playing games.
That right there is crazy by itself too. Like, I think they just didn't want to do the work. That's what it sounds like to me, because 15 is old enough to know if he saw something or if he didn't see anything. So that's another strange twist to the case. So
Oh yeah,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
TPD has messed up in my daughter's case since day one. I argue with them all the time. I'm waiting on a response because I'm having a meeting with the chief of police and her detectives and the assistant chief. Mm-hmm. And I have questions on why you will not let my detectives go to Florida to check out my ex's family.
Right.
They denied my detectives to go there. And I want to know why.
I definitely want to know. I definitely would want to know too. Definitely.
Oh yeah. Like I said, TPD has messed up since day one. I believe if they would have listened to me and my family, they would have found out what happened to my daughter.
I believe so too. It's a lot of cases like your daughter where I've seen where they messed up from day one. Honestly, if I could have solved those cases, a lot of these cases back then, but they just a lot of cases they tend to, mainly African American, they tend to not, they tend to neglect those cases. It still goes on, but I agree with you. This case definitely probably would have been solved if they would have took that information seriously. And like you said, this lady 20 years later and her memory's gone. That's like a heartbreak, by itself, to all these years to find this person and then find out they can't talk, that's just unacceptable. Period. That's sloppy police work all the way around.
Yeah, I just did a podcast and with my detective, and I found out some information by listening to the podcast, which
Okay.
they should have told me this information before this podcast even came out. But I guess the gentleman called in, or his mom called in and said that he knew what happened to Teekah. So my detectives went out there and talked to this man. Then they went back a second time and the guy passed away.
What? What?
Exactly. Exactly.
It's like this is like really hard to believe. Like, darn, all these. So let me ask you a question. I mean, I know I don't want to ask you how you feeling, but I know it's taking a mental toll on you over the years. You know, missing your child. You know, I'm a parent myself. You know, and I know for a fact that we don't have our children for our children to be murdered. We don't have our children for something to happen, and we definitely don't have our children for our children to come up missing. You know, and never be found. You know, so as a parent, you know, I definitely my heart breaks for you.
Yeah. Um, I have 5 other kids, and um when this came up, I became the strictest parent out there.
Okay.
And my kids are all grown. My
Okay.
youngest is 22. My oldest are about to turn 34. And I still worry about my kids. I worry about my grandkids now because nowadays it's a sick world out here.
It
It
is. It
is.
definitely is. It definitely is. I have 2 daughters and a son, so I'm strict too. I worry about even. I mean, I worry about them all the time. Even when they go to school, I worry about them. You know, because there's so
You
much.
got to.
Like I said, it's an evil world out here.
It
Definitely
is.
world out here.
It is.
So who was all with you tonight that Tika went missing?
My brother, I had two of my brothers,
Okay.
two sister-in-laws, one of my sister-in-law's family.
Okay.
There was a nine, I think she was like, I want to say 9 or 7 at the time. There was a couple younger kids there. And then there was I believe she was 3 or 4 year old. And she
Okay.
was going up to everybody and wanting them to hold her. Now, if they wanted any child, they could have took her, but they didn't. They took my baby. And where my daughter was sitting, one of the boys were sitting right next to her and said he didn't see anything. But I think what it is he seen something or heard something and he's scared.
Yeah, that could be it too. And it's like all this evidence and all these things that happen. It doesn't seem like it's a coincidence. You know. I just I don't know. I'm just baffled by them not fully investigating this case. Like all you told me 5 different things alone that should have they should have dug deep into. I mean, like a person in the comments said, you know, the missing people are neglected for so long that decades passed and then people died. And it's very unfortunate and it's awful. You know.
It is. I wish that I watch a lot of YouTube and a lot of the missing children cases. I wish they did that when my daughter came up missing. I wish she was plastered everywhere. But I had to do it on my own. You know, we tried to get my daughter's story on at the 10 o'clock news, no, the 11 o'clock news back home, and they said no. We had to wait till the next morning to do it. And it's like, come on, you could have had my daughter's picture out there, but they didn't want to do that. They said no. My brother, he came from work. He was working at the casino up in Auburn, and he flew down there. And he walked up in the bowling alley. Let me tell you, the cops did not close this bowling alley down when my daughter came up missing. When there's a crime scene, they make everybody stay there until they take their names down, name and number. That's not what happened at my daughter's when my daughter came up missing. There was people coming in and there was people going out.
Are
They
you
didn't get everybody. Yes.
wow? So basically, the crime scene was never secured, and if there was DNA, almost 1,000 people have it inside the bowling alley. So you been telling me they kept on going as business, and they didn't shut this bowling alley down for this investigation at all?
Nope. People, so they didn't even do fingerprinting. They didn't do none of that.
Wow,
Nothing at all.
crazy,
Yeah.
really crazy. I don't know. It's crazy. Like I said, I've seen and heard so many stories like this. I mean, I just hope that it gets better going forward. Because I mean, every child matters. I don't think it should matter towards the race or how old they are. I think every child should be plastered everywhere because I honestly just I found out about your daughter's story probably about a year or 2 years ago, and that makes me mad when I come across a lot of these stories and I'm just finding out because I try to make a difference, as much as I can, and I try to get people to see these stories and see that these are real people. This can happen to any
Right.
of us. Ain't none of us safe from this. None of us are.
It's
Um,
not, our
uh,
babies are not safe. I'm telling you. They, this, and I've been saying this since my daughter came up missing. They need to have a one strike, you're out rule here in the United States with these sex offenders. If you harm a child or any person, it's one strike, you're out. Our babies are coming up missing and raped and killed because of these sick people out here. And I have three granddaughters right now, and I worry about them as they get older. My youngest granddaughter's 2 years old, my oldest are 7, and I worry about them because there's so many sick people out there. And it could be your neighbor. It could be the person that your mom dates if you and the mom is not together. It could be that person.
that's true. That's a true sentiment, and that's happening. All over America, like in different states. I've seen
Yeah.
so many cases like that. Again, it's unfortunate, but it's like I don't want to say a norm, but it is like a norm. Like you wake up every day and you're reading something. The news is depressing. You don't want to read the news. But I agree about the whole one strike you're out with the kids. Too many kids have came up missing. Too many kids have been murdered. Too many
Oh
kids
yeah.
have haven't been found.
I'm gonna tell you, I'm a mom and I'm not giving up. Okay. We have cases in Washington the parents have given up. I'm not doing it. I'm pushing to find my daughter. I will do what it takes to find my daughter. I live in Virginia now, but you better believe I'm on that phone calling my detectives. What's going on? And if they don't give me no answers, okay, I need a meeting with the chief of police
Right.
because they're they could have been and solved my daughter's case. If they would have listened to me and my family, they would have they could have been and solved it. You know, I tell them all the time, all I want to know is what happened to my daughter. If she's not here no more, I want to know that. If she is here, bring her home to me. Because she has sisters that miss her. She has nieces and nephews that she's never met. And it's time to bring her home. And I push this every year. I have a candlelight vigil every year for her. Every year. I fly back home to do it
Wow.
because I'm not giving up. I won't give up.
And I love to hear that. You hear me? I love to hear that. That's so beautiful because like you said, there are people that give up. They're like, some people I've talked to, they give up. No, we don't want to. And then I have some people like that have been missing for 30 and 40 years, and their determination is there, and inspiring. To help them out. I mean, you want to help all missing out, whatever. But like I said again, I love when people do not give up and they want to know. No matter how long it takes. I definitely, I think one day that you'll definitely find some answers in your daughter's case.
Exactly. My inspiration is the Carlina White story.
Yes.
And I, I watch that show all the time. If she can be found, my daughter can be found.
You sure can.
And she's my inspiration. And I've told the National Center, if I have a chance to meet her, I want to meet her because she's my inspiration. That's why I've never given up. Not only because of her, is because my daughter deserves to be found. Regardless, she's not here, or if she is here, she deserves to be found regardless.
Yes, she does. Yes, she does. Um. So I know. That you've been like. I know you're stressed and other things. Then came upon you. How do you stay? Like, how have you able to stay sane all these years?
Believe me, it's I don't.
Okay.
You know, people come to me and they say I'm a strong woman. I might look like I'm strong, but deep down inside, I'm broken. Okay. I suffer from PTSD because of this. You know, I have anxiety, I have depression, I have all that. And people don't understand. This is very serious. When you have a child that comes up missing and you don't know the answers, people say, yeah, you're strong. I'm not strong. I look strong, but deep down inside, I'm not. I'm not. But I've kept myself for my babies, my daughters growing up, and now my grandkids, because I don't want them to see grandma gave up or mom gave up. No, neither one. I'm not giving up until I find out what happened to my daughter. And you know, if it's 50 years, I have my girls to keep pushing to find out what happened to their sister. If something ever happened to me, they will take over and find out what happened. Knowing they got kids of their own, but they will do it because I want to know. I can't give up.
Right. And they have us here too because we're definitely in this fight too. To help bring missing kids home.
I
Uh,
have my daughter was a Pooh Bear fanatic, and I gave her a Pooh Bear, her very first Pooh Bear, for Christmas when she was her first year.
okay.
And the night that she usually takes it everywhere with her, but that night she said she was going to be a big girl and leave it at home and put her Pooh Bear to sleep in her receiving blanket. That was her security. I still have that. I have it and it's on my shelf. And I told my daughter that was 10 months old, 10 months at the time, if anything happened to me, that goes to her, and then it will go down to my granddaughter, her daughter.
Right.
Um, I have 2.5 years of memories with her, but it's a lifetime to me, you know, because she was a mama's girl. She didn't go to nobody. There was like maybe a handful of people that she would let hold her. And that was me, her grandma, my niece, and my daughters. And that was it. She wouldn't let nobody hold her. Her uncles, her grandpa, nobody. nobody could hold her but me, her grandma, my niece, and her sisters. That was it, you
Right.
know? And I have 2.5 years of pictures and the things that she had, and that's all I have. And I keep her Pooh Bear close to me. And the pictures I have of her, that I had them all blown up to a bigger size when she turned 16. We had a big sweet 16 party, 18, 21. We had the biggest 21st birthday for her, and we partied like she was there, you
Right. And
know.
a
It
celebration.
was it was huge. It was huge, you know. And there wasn't, well, the people that didn't drink, but everybody was drunk because they did it for her.
Right. 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 So, like going forward with her case, besides wanting it solved, what would you like to see? Like me, I would like to see it everywhere. I like to see it across every podcast, every news station, Dateline. This case, I like to see it plastered everywhere. What about you? What do you think?
I want it everywhere. You know, I want to go on the morning show. I want to do I want my daughter's story out there. I want it out there. I want people, podcast, YouTube, everything, you know. I want it out there. I want people to know this mother's not giving up on her baby. That was my everything. Yeah, I had 4 other daughters, but she was my world. She was born on the 4th of July. She was a mama's girl. I couldn't leave the house without her. If I went to the store, I had to take her with me because she wasn't staying home. She's like, nope,
Right.
I'm going with mommy. And she was she was at my hip. So I don't know how this person or people got away with my daughter because I know my baby would have screamed. But with 350 people in that bowling alley and it was loud, nobody would hear it. Nobody.
Mm, it's crazy. And
It is.
and it's sometimes, like you said, it's sometimes only a split second. Some just takes a split second, and
Right. And if that officer was doing his job as a security officer, that would have never happened. But if you look on the articles,
uh-huh.
there was more incidents that happened in that bowling
Yeah,
alley.
I saw that. I saw the sexual assault that happened there. That right there. Now, yeah, now you're right because it was 4 instances there. It was a sexual assault. It was somebody got robbed there, and
There was
it was something else.
they had they had attempted essay in there. And they had one that happened, and they had another one that happened two weeks prior to my daughter's disappearance. And then that day of my daughter's disappearance at the park down the way, they had an attempted abduction there too.
now
These
that right,
parents did not call the police on this stuff
I saw
until
that.
after.
I saw that. Now that right there alone, that should never have happened. That person should have called police. I don't care, regardless. Okay, you
Yep.
don't do that because then you allow not you allow for them to go to do that for somebody else. That's why I say when people say, "Oh no, we can't tell no snitching." Listen, when it comes to anything, children, anything, tell what you saw. Tell what you
Yeah.
saw because you could have saved a life by telling the police about this incident. And he had the guy hurt. I heard he had the guy, and he let the guy go.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
really? No, that guy would have been beat down, and then he would have been called away to the police.
Oh yeah. Like my family says, if we ever find out what happened to my daughter or who did it to my daughter, you know, give us 5 minutes in that courthouse with, don't even check us. But we don't even have to go that far because we know a lot of people in the, prison, in the jail cell. So this person, if the person ever goes to jail and a person finds out that it was connected to my daughter's case, they're not even going to make it to court. And everybody knows that, because my daughter's case is a high case in Washington. Everybody knows about it. Everybody. If you don't know, then you weren't there when it happened, or you're new to the state. That's the only way you won't know about my daughter's case in Washington, because I keep it out in the media when I can. Every year I do a media story, but I want it out there more. I want people to spread her case and get it everywhere. She's been in People's Magazine. I was on the Montel Williams show, Oprah, Maury. I've been done all that, but I want it to go further because she deserves it.
Yes, she
Prime TV,
does.
she needs to be on the morning show, everything, because I'm not giving up. This mother's not giving up. I won't give up, because there's no evidence of foul play in my daughter's case. Nothing was found in my daughter's, her purse, her shoes, her clothing, none of that was found. Nothing. So that person who took my daughter knew what they were doing. They knew. And there's a lot of missing things that the police said they did and come to find out they didn't do it.
Oh, I
And
can.
I'm just learning this stuff.
Oh, you just learned this. Wow. After all these years, you're just learning that. Well, I mean, I know you probably knew that they made mistakes, but you didn't know the extent until this year, right? What you're saying?
Exactly. So years ago, they said they investigated my ex's family. They didn't do that. They didn't. You
Oh,
guys didn't. You guys should have been and done that, but you guys didn't do it. And I'm just learning this year.
this year,
25 years.
25 years later.
And you guys said you checked this family out. You guys didn't. And I've been told you guys 2 weeks before my daughter disappeared, the guy that I was dating, his mom asked me for my daughter. And I said, why would I give you my daughter? She said, oh, you have a baby. Yeah, I have a baby and 3 other kids besides her. Why would I give you my daughter? I don't think so. And 2 weeks, and then my daughter comes up missing. They said they checked this family. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. And mind you, the officer that was there that night is the
Mm-hmm.
assistant chief of police now.
Wow.
And I have not seen my daughter's police report. Have
And why
not
is that?
seen it.
And
They
why is that?
won't let me see it. They won't.
Is that because it's evidence or that's just protocol?
They say it's protocol, but how is it protocol when you can go look up anybody's case? You can go look up anybody's case at the courthouse, but
You
they
sure?
won't let me see mine.
You sure can. Yes, you can. That
They
now that's
won't let me see mine.
there's so many twists and turns in this case. I really do hope that this case is solved and soon. So many
Oh
twists,
yeah.
so many twists and turns.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And the assistant chief, she's on a different side than my daughter's. She's the one that went to LSU and did my daughter's, had them do my daughter's picture.
Okay.
Not the one from the National Center. LSU usually doesn't do baby pictures, but she explained to them about my daughter's case, and they said, we will do her picture.
Ah, okay. That's who did the picture. So national,
LSU.
okay. So national, Mr. Person. Okay, so I'm glad you cleared that up because I was under the impression that the National Missing and Exploited Children did the recreation. So you said LSU did that.
Okay. The one that's pulling up right now, the National Center did that one. LSU did that one right there.
Okay, the younger one. Okay, that one there. That one's accurate. Okay,
Yep.
I thought that was a good one too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That was a good sketch too. So when I first
And
saw,
they did it by ceramic. They you know how they how do you put it? They use a ceramic to make the person. Let's say that an unidentified missing person, they'll use a sculpture. That's what they did with my daughter. They used that, and they took pictures of my 10-month-old. Well, she's 27, 26 now, and they
okay.
used her hair, because they look alike. So they used her to get Teekah like that, to do her like that.
Okay.
And that's the first picture out of all these years that was an accurate picture of my daughter, is that one.
So and how many years did it take them to do the recreation for you, the first one? Like
So
when did
they
that the first
usually
when did they do that one? I'm sorry.
every 2 years they'll do a updated picture, but this was done in, let's see, this is 24 and 2022 is the first time they got it right. So 23 years later, they got my daughter's picture right. She looks more like an adult than what
That's
the
crazy by
National
itself
Center.
too.
Yeah.
Okay, so she looks more like okay.
Yeah, the
Wow,
National
that
Center, they
that's
do an amazing job, but sometimes they don't get the picture right. And LSU, on point. When I seen that picture, I cried when they showed me it. I cried and cried because they got it right.
right. Uh, no, I just like I said, going forward, I hope that you get some answers in your daughter's case, and I really, really do, appreciate you coming on here and telling us the story because a lot of times when you read online about these cases, you only hear part of the stories, and my thing is I always want to go to the source, to the family, so I can get the complete story because a lot of times the news articles they leave stuff out, they don't put everything in there.
Oh yeah,
So
they do.
this right here, this podcast, it told me, and I'm pretty sure it told um like plenty of people, other people, what actually happened, and I actually, I feel you, and also too, there's a bigger platform called the Vanish. Submit to them. They're even bigger.
Okay.
They're even bigger than us. I think they have thousands more than us because we're I'm broadcasting from 3 different places now: the Missing Black People page, the Unsolved page, and YouTube.
Okay.
So a lot of people are saying this, but a friend of mine just told me to tell you to vanish.
Okay. Yeah, I
Okay.
just had some other people come to me um a couple days ago. They came to me and they want to do a podcast. So um well, one of them, since National Children's Day is tomorrow, um I've been out of state. I
Okay.
was with my grandkids and I just got back Monday. So I was supposed to um, write a story about my daughter, but I was out of town. So
Okay.
she's going to do something else for me, but she's going to get my daughter's picture out there because, she wants to air her for National Children's Day. So,
That's good. That's good.
yeah.
I'm so happy for that. Again, I appreciate you for coming tonight. Thank you so much. I will definitely, stay in touch with you. And if you need anything, just reach out to us, and we're gonna help you as much as we can.
All right. I appreciate it. Like I say, I want my daughter's story out there. Push her picture, push her story, because she deserves to be found. And I'm not giving up. You
She's not
know,
here. She's not giving up. She's not getting up
I'm
on her,
not.
her daughter. I'm so glad. I want to hear more stories where parents or loved ones are not giving up on their loved ones. Because where there's a will, there's a way. Everything that's done in
Exactly.
the dark comes to the light, and God said, "Bring all His children home," and that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to bring them all home. Thank you
And
so
if
much.
you have a missing child, don't
Yeah,
ever give up because they deserve to be found. My daughter deserves to be found. And that's why I will never give up until I get answers because she deserves it and I deserve it.
yes, she does. Okay. Thank you so much for preparing. You have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And thanks for everybody that's watching. This mom will not give up. And if anybody out there knows anything, just just go back in time and just it might have been something you might have missed, something you might have saw, a little bit. If you were young at the time and you're older now, do the right thing. Come forward. Give this mom and her family some closure. It's been 25 years. 25 years. Too long. This has been the Teekah Lewis story told by her mother. Thank you for so much for appearing again, Theresa, and have a good night.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you too.